Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning and happy Tuesday to those of you guys that are tuning in, whether you are catching this thing now or on the replay. Before we start anything, I want to just say thank you to everyone who has been engaging with the lives, who has been hitting that thumbs up, and even the people that have been commenting on the replays. I am so appreciative of you guys trusting the God in me to steward your souls. And I'm just grateful that you guys are a part of helping God grow this ministry. As y'all are coming in, as always, go ahead and tell God thank you. It's been a long night. I've been up since like 3 a.m. But as you guys are coming in, go ahead and tell God thank you. And tell us one thing that you are grateful for on this morning. Even if you are catching this thing on the replay, just go ahead and hashtag replay crew. What's up, Bishop? That this morning, what I'm grateful for is the fact that we don't have to do life alone. Hey, Micah, blessings to you. I'm gonna say it again. One thing that I'm just grateful for is the fact that, excuse me, that we don't have to do life alone. I told God that this morning as I've just been kind of just sitting in his presence and just honestly getting my bearings. Last night was a night of, hey, Miss Nicole, it was not as bad of a night as I thought it would be. But I found myself this morning waking up and feeling a little bit on edge. I don't know if anybody else, can say that, like, maybe today was a day where it's like, even if nothing is happening, it's just the idea of what could happen or the details revolving around what is happening that, sometimes leaves us feeling a little bit heavy. And so today was one of those days where, come on, grateful for fresh hope in old areas. Today was one of those days where, it's like, okay, God, like, even though like the worst didn't happen and, I'm still overwhelmed and I'm still not okay about everything just in itself. Sometimes it ain't even just one area. Sometimes it's the idea of what is happening in your life, like conglomerately, if that is even a word, like all together. And so this morning as I was talking to God and I was just honestly, it's like, I see what you're doing, but I am still over issue. Your faith is an issue, and not necessarily that you don't have it, but it's just like, man, I remember the days when I used to trust God this much. I remember the days when I used to trust God, this much. And so sometimes, like, while we're waiting on God and while we're having to endure things, sometimes, like, that still is a thing where we get frustrated. And so this morning, I was just talking to God about where I am. And also talking to him about like my frustration. Like, God, I'm frustrated because it's like, I know what I need, I know what I'm battling with, I know what is creating the pressure, but I also know that I don't have the faith that I once did to say, God, I believe that you're going to do boom, 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 boom. And I'm gonna say this, I told God I don't have the faith that I once did because, I'm gonna say it this way, because of having to suffer for an extended period of time. I'm gonna say that again. Like, I told God that, I say, Lord, like, I'm frustrated because I don't have that same faith, but I know that I don't have that same faith because I've been let down by you, not just in general, but by you. I've had to suffer. I've had to endure things. And so it's like, if I'm already going through boom, 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 how can I muster up the faith to say, God, I believe you to do this one big thing if the small things are not being handled? And so God began to deal with my heart. And the first thing that he told me was this. He said, give me the details. I'm going to drink some coffee today. Yeah. He said, give me the details. I'm going to say it again. He said, give me the details. And so, I sat on it. Like, I just sat on what he was saying. Give God the details. And the Holy Spirit began, hey, Miss Rita, the Holy Spirit began to like minister to me. And what the Holy Spirit revealed to me is like, a lot of times the weight of the pressure that we feel, comes from the details. A lot of times us being overwhelmed comes from the details. A lot of times us being anxious or panicking revolves around the details. A lot of times when we're depressed, it revolves around the details. A lot of times when we're holding on a tight grip on the details, we will start to feel like we are having an out of body experience and that we have more fear than faith. And so today was one of those days where he was highlighting my new dog Buddy. And so Buddy, last night I had concerns because I'm like, is this gonna be a whole nother Bo? Is this gonna be a Bo Jr. where he howls all night? Because he's a baby. Like, he's really a baby. Like, he's a baby. And he just huge. But he's a baby. I don't even think he may be 2 months, 2 to 3 months old. He's a baby. And I had all these thoughts. Is he going to, use the bathroom in the house? Is he going to do this? It was all of these worst case scenarios. And last night there was a moment where I just kind of just let him out. We gave him a bath and I just kind of just let him hang out. And there was a point where I looked up and I didn't see him. And I went into the hallway. I kid y'all not. And do you not know that baby saw himself to bed? That baby put himself in the cage and he was knocked out like a light. And he slept the entire night. And so, it was just that, and even just waking up, and he's so mannerable. The things that they were like, oh, he don't walk good on the leash. The things that he wasn't doing well, it's kind of like he's settled in and it's not stressful. And God told me, he says, you've been so overwhelmed and so stressed out about the details of what could happen, the what ifs, and I'm gonna say this, it's not just any kind of what if that stresses us out. For a lot of us, it's literally the worst case scenario. What if this happens? What if that happens? What about this? What about this? What about this? And a lot of times the stuff that we be worrying about, the stuff that we be overwhelmed about, the details, right? That we get so caught up in to the point where sometimes we stop disobeying God. Sometimes we start, just going in the other direction. Am I making sense? And it's like a lot of times when God comes through, you look back and you be like, wow, I allowed, myself, because it don't always be the devil. I allowed myself to get so worked up mentally and emotionally, right? That I allowed myself to get so mentally and emotionally, just out of whack that none of what I mustered up in my mind even happened. And a lot of times it's like sometimes the total opposite. We be preparing for doom and gloom. And I'm going to say this. It is easy to prepare for doom and gloom when you've been in a struggle for an extended period of time. I'm going to say it again. It is very easy to start preparing for doom and gloom if doom and gloom is what you know. It's easy to prepare for the worst case scenario when you feel like you've been living out worst case scenarios. And honestly, that is the beauty of faith. And I feel like God strategically in those moments when he sees us in those headspaces, I feel like those are the moments where God says, now let me show you something different so that you don't go throughout life looking at me a certain way, feeling like I'm a certain way. Am I making sense? And so, I say all of this to say, and this is not going to be a long broadcast because I have to go live on TikTok and then I have to go to the barbershop. But I say all of that to say, give the details to God. It even encouraged me because I'm like, the dog ain't just been the only thing. A lot of times, the thing that surfaces, it's just one of the many things that we worry about. But it's like when God told me that, give me the details, I'm looking at every single area of my life. I'm like, financially, what about this area, And it's just like, relax and give the details to God. Even last night, I felt like I didn't get to do a lot of the things on my to-do list, a lot of the things that I'm picking back up, only for me to get home and finally sit down, shower, eat, and I'm sitting on the sofa. God says, pick up your to-do list. I wrote it on like a tablet. I'm picking up my to-do list. And you know what God told me? He says, you are so busy worrying about this to-do list that you don't even realize that you already did it. Yeah. He says, you were so worried about the details of this to-do list, so in your mind about it, that when you really sit and think about these things, you're not lacking. Today did exactly what today was supposed to do, and you're not behind. And so it's not until we really give the details to God that we can look back and be like, okay, all right, I see it now. I see it for what it is. And so, That is this morning's daily manna. Give the details to God. He knows your situation. He knows what you're going through. He knows where you are. Give him the details. And the details include how something is going to work out, how it's going to affect your day, your life, that circumstance, that situation. The details also revolve the timing of it. The details are the route that God takes. The details are the timing, how long you've waited, how quickly things are going. If you feel like things are at a stalemate, those are the details. And it's not until we give those details to God that we can really just enter into his perfect peace and get to a space where we are not just in perfect peace, but in a place where we're at perfect rest. And so that is it, y'all. I love y'all. I'm rooting for y'all. If you feel led to sow, the ways to sow are in the description of every single video. I got a blast. I'm about to head over to TikTok. My allergies, or I don't know if I'm about to catch a cold, but I'll be back on TikTok in probably the next T-5 minutes. If you've not signed up for the June raffle, please be sure that you do so. The raffle is $5 per entry, and you can send it to any of the ways that we typically sow into the ministry. And so I love y'all. I'm rooting for y'all. And so till next time, y'all. Peace.